What's up, everybody? We are back. One up episode of Podcastin with Colossal. I'm your co-host, baby girl, Erin Marie. And here's your host, Garrick Hildebrand Sr.
Yo, what up, everybody? This your boy Garrick from Colossal Stepping Entertainment. Also, your host here at Podcastin with Colossal. Man, we want to say thank you to everyone that's tuning in with us on tonight. We want to give a special shout out to Intellectual Radio for this opportunity to be on the air again. Also, VFW Post 2801 in Phillip Park, Illinois for their support. Also, Broadview Park District, as well as Katrina Thompson, the mayor of Broadview, and the village of Broadview. And we're excited to have with us tonight again my brother Jarrell David, who's in the building with us.
Bless you. It's an honor and a privilege to be back.
I got my son and my daughter, Garrick Jr. in Egypt, who are on the show tonight.
Hello.
So what we're going to be talking about tonight, we're going to jump right into it, as coping with mental health and not losing yourself. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to go ahead and get this thing done somehow. Somehow.
Lord.
But man, as we were talking about on last week, man, we had an exciting topic on last week and a conversation, and how and people were still excited about the conversation itself. And I brought my son and my daughter on tonight because because I wanted my daughter to share her story, and I'm gonna give her a chance to talk about her story.
Hi, I'm Egypt, and I've been dealing with mental health since I was 7 years old. Should I tell how it started?
Yeah.
So it started in elementary school because I was starting to get raped and I was being sexually harassed all throughout my elementary school career. I kept blaming myself because he threatened to hurt my parents, and he also threatened to hurt anybody who I was close with and who I loved. Back then, I did not know that I was struggling with depression. I always thought that it was just a sadness that I would get over. But then as I got older, and when I was 13 years old, I got into my first relationship ever. Mind you, as I'm 13, I don't think about sex. I don't think about any of that. I was thinking about what I wanted to do in my future, and mostly like I was watching SpongeBob.
Right.
And since he knew that I did not know anything about sex, he took advantage of that. So I was raped when I was 13 years old.
Oh my God.
As I got out of that relationship, I thought that he was only doing that because he said he loved me. I also figured out what mental health was at that point in time, because I was struggling with depression, anxiety, and then later on to come, I am struggling with PTSD also. My experience with it has been long and hard, especially because I didn't know how to cope with it at first. My only coping mechanisms was self-harming and suicidal ideations. And I felt like I could not go to anybody about that because I didn't want them thinking, oh, this is selfish of you for you to think that. How you think you're gonna hurt your brothers, your sisters, your parents. Like, that's all that came with that. And then later on, I actually had a mental breakdown during the summer. and I had to be admitted to a behavioral hospital for 5 days in order to get some help because I knew I needed help. Um, I then is when I was actually diagnosed with depression, severe anxiety, and PTSD. I am now on meds with it, and I've learned to open up to people to let them know what I'm going through. It has been especially hard with the passing of my mother, but
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Let it out.
Let it out.
but I'm learning to get through it because I know if I give up, I know it's going to hurt my dad, and that's not what my mom wants. Coping with your mental health takes a lot because it takes a lot for you not to give up, not to like just end it all. I've learned that I can go to my dad about it. I'm also seeing a therapist right now, which like there's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist.
Yes.
Yeah, you might not want anybody else in your business and you might not feel like you can go to anybody else, but seeing a therapist or anybody actually helps because it helps to get stuff off of your chest that is already bothering you. So sometimes I have problems coping with my mental health because sometimes I don't want to take my medicine, but I do it anyway because I know that is what's best for me in order for me to get over this. And then one of my coping mechanisms is, as you guys know, I am a dancer. So I dance, and then sometimes when I get home, I sleep, which is kind of a distraction, but at the same time, distractions are also good for you. Mental health can be hard, and you just have to learn to get through it no matter what. Like, there are people out here that actually care for you, and they would do anything just to see you happy. Don't let anybody who wants to see your downfall, like, nobody knows that I'm going through this because I keep a smile on my face. You go through what you go through in private, but once you go out in public, make sure people see you rise. Don't let them see you on your downfall because that's when they'll think that, oh, you just gave up, like you can't do it no more. I want people to know that you can get help for mental health. Getting help, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you will have people that support you, you will have people that don't want you to do it, but do what's best for you because mental health is something that will tear you down, and you might not want to, like, you might not get through it by yourself. Suicidal ideations are no joke.
Nope.
That's the truth.
Because you might tell somebody that you have suicidal ideation, oh, that's selfish, da, da, da. Then when you actually commit suicide, they'll be like, oh, I wish I was there for that person when they told me what they was going through. So do what's best for you and make sure that you check on the people you love because you never know what they're going through. People be hiding, especially in this generation. People be hiding their feelings. Like, mental health is no joke. I know multiple people, including myself, and then being in that behavioral hospital, seeing what other children are going through, it hurts because people as young as you are going through either the same or worse. So speak out about your mental health. If you're going through something, try to talk to somebody or get some help. So, yeah.
Thank you for that, Egypt. Man, like I said, mental, and like as you were saying, mental health is a serious thing. Mental health is a very serious thing. Junior, is there something that you would like to share?
Sure. Um, Stuff I learned from it was like knowing like how Egypt went through the stuff. I was like thinking, what should I do as a brother to like keep her through, like keep her smiling, keep her laughing, and then that's what I started doing. It's like making her laugh, making her smile. Like it's just hard seeing kids just getting bullied because of their mental health issues right now. And it's like me walking to school, and then I'm like, some people were doing dumb stuff like bullying, just talk about them. Like I'm like, bro, you can't be doing that because you'll never know what they went through in their life to get to that point. It's like they might have lost their mom, lost their dad, and they don't have nothing like going through in time. So you just gotta like be there for them. You never know what they're going through. They might be smiling right in front of you, but inside is a whole another thing. So for real, I'm gonna just say that.
Yeah. So I received news on today that a 17-year-old young lady killed herself on today on the west side of Chicago. Like I said, you never know with mental health what person's going through. And mental health visits people regardless what age it is. Regardless what age you are, how old you think you are. Mental health is real, people. I mean, when I say it's real, and it's actually real. Um, Depression is a mental health disorder. I still battle depression even today myself. And people think, well, uh, how do you battle depression? And my thing is, when I lost my wife, that thing hit me like a ton of bricks. And I sat around and tried to get her clothing together, that knowing my wife wasn't gonna be here anymore, and then start really thinking. And it gives you a lot of time to thinking it, and then I start feeling like I failed her. Because I felt like I could have done more to save her life. And but the thing is that that Ariel was right, that no, God made the decision for me. And I had to know, and I had to accept that no, God made that decision for me. Because if I had to make the decision, I could have made a wrong decision in regards to her life. But the thing is that I was beating myself up because no, she's no longer here. And then I have to then I have to really try to be be that strong source for my kids. And like I said, then Egypt when Egypt came to me and said, no, Dad, now I know you're trying to be strong for us, but how are you really feeling? That stopped Superman in his tracks right there. Somebody found that kryptonite, didn't know, and just that stopped me right in my tracks. It made me do some self-reflection, like, man, how am I really feeling? Because it's easy to be strong for people. It's easy to be strong for people, but when you have that downtime, when you have that downtime and it hits, and now those thoughts start rolling, like, man, like, how do you make it through this? God, what do I do now? Where do I go? What do I say? And God was, and it kept saying, it kept coming back to me, like, just tell the truth. Tell the truth about what you're going through. Because you can't be faking. No, you can't fake the funk when you actually hurting. Because now when you hurting, you're hurting. And it's like, and people don't understand that, man. When you're actually really hurting, you're hurting, and you're hurting from the inside out. There's no external pain. There's that inside pain because you're dealing with a broken heart.
Yes.
You're dealing with a broken spirit. And you're dealing with broken thoughts because those thoughts you're like, man, what do you do? What did I do? How did I get to this point? How did I allow myself to get here? And it's like, man, but I kept had to remember that it wasn't about me. That it was God that got us to this point. And then God allowed us to to watch her transition from this side to the other side. Uh and then we had to watch her go into the ground. And then you had to sit there and deal with the no the realization that you have to walk away from that grave. And then you have to really face your emotions. And then and it magnifies 10 times. It magnifies 10 times. And you can't sit there and act like, man, well, I'm all right, I'm all right, man. You're not all right. It's okay not to be okay.
Come on.
It's okay
Okay,
not to be okay.
That's true.
Because like I said, when people ask me how I'm doing, I say I'm holding. That
That's a good.
I just say I'm holding. And they and they just like, man, they like, man, holding the man, I'm holding. And you keep asking me how you doing. I'm holding. And because my thing is, I'm holding because God ain't gonna let me break.
Come on.
So, and I keep trying to tell people, man, this hurt is real. When you hurt, you're hurting.
Yeah.
When you're hurting, you're hurting.
Yeah.
And man, and you can't sit there. You can try to control that. You can try to control it all you want to. But when that quiet time, it's in the quiet moments. Like when you by yourself, then you have a lot more time to think about, where do I go from here? What do I do from here?
Right.
What do I say?
Yeah.
How can I get my kids through? And now my kids are going to prom, and like I said, and all of the preparation stuff that's going on now is that was my wife's thing. That was my wife's thing. And that's what she wanted. What's up, man?
So really, it's like God was showing me a way that she was okay, because I seen, when I looked up in the sky, I seen a heart, and I just, it's like in the sky. I'm like, then also I seen something that says, Mom, I love forever. I'm like, God, what do I do now, and what do I say? And then I'm like, then Sunday comes up. I'm like, God, I trust you, because I seen what you did for me on that track meet. Because I could have lost that time, because I could have hurt myself, but you showed me how I could get through that curve. I thought I was gonna lose it, but all of a sudden I felt something get lighter on me. I'm like, wait, off of me. I got up, and I got first place on that 200, and I feel like I did great. And when I see mom's site, I'm like, I looked at mom's grave. I'm like, Mom, I love you.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, man. Because this thing is so real.
Yeah. It
This
is.
thing is so real.
It is.
And Brother Jarrell, I'm gonna let you take it. I'm gonna let you take it.
I'm
gonna let you take it.
Well, it's just so much that we just processed, and I know at our last, let me get close to the mic. I don't want Earl to say nothing to me. But it was, oh Lord, okay, let me get it together, yeah. So we talked about boundaries, and we talked so much last time we met and sat down on the grieving process, and how it's just not a day. It's not a week. It's a season. You're never truly out of it. And so just to hear these stories, to really relate to these stories, there's some things where I can relate to Egypt on some stuff. It's some things where I can relate to you on, because I've been Superman. Okay, my grandmother, like I said last time, my grandmother told me I cannot be God to everybody.
Right.
I can't try to be Captain Save, but you know
Right,
what,
right,
and
right,
leave it there. Okay.
right.
So I have to learn how it's okay not to be okay. I had a conversation with a friend one night. I'm not going to give any names, but we had a really deep conversation, and she said, Jarrell, When I'm by myself, I get back to thinking these things. I might seem so happy on the outside and laughing and giggling with you guys, but deep down, I'm going through. And I had to let her know it's okay not to be okay, but you have to articulate it. Like I said the last time, a closed mouth does not get fed. So
Hallelujah.
we must say what we're going through so we can begin the healing process. I was just watching Tabitha Brown, and she was talking about, healing, but it's not just like a one-time thing. You don't just heal to heal, right?
Right.
You're going to have some things that make you go back. You're going to have a trigger. Somebody might throw a glass of milk at y'all. Y'all gonna go back, right? And you're gonna go back to that moment where you just like, I got something for her. But you have to realize that healing is not just a one-day thing. Healing is not going to take place overnight. Faith without works is dead. I can't say I'm on a water diet, then eat my grandmother's smothered pork chops, which I did. So my faith is dead right now because I ain't been working that hard on my water diet. But when we do things like I'm healing, but you allow somebody to make you go back. I'm healing, but I'm giving this energy to the wrong person. I'm healing, but yet I have not grown anywhere. So when we go through that process, we truly have to start thinking, how are we coping? So here are like my grandmother. I just love this. My grandmother came to me and she said, "You know what, Jarrell? There's nothing wrong with therapy." I remember when I told you guys when my mayor put me into therapy after my fight to get anger management support, and she came to me. She said, "You know what? There's nothing wrong," because I had a stigma about it. I didn't want to go. I said, I might as well lose a job. I didn't want to go. I did not want to go, but she said, "There's something about a man that can admit when he comes down and admit when he's weak." That gives a man enough strength and pride again. Because so many times in the male community, we think because we're going through something, we're weak. But the thing is, once you go through it and you get through it, you become stronger than you were ever in the first place. So that's just one of the things that I just analyzed from the stories that I got. Yeah. And so I believe that right now we're coping, but we need to start. So in our first episode, we talked about boundaries and coping and everything. Now I want to talk about the growth. How do you see the growth in your cope? How can you keep going? How can you keep pushing? How can you keep growing? Because these mechanisms that I gave you, that we talked about, that we went over, aren't just mechanisms that you use right then and there when you're going through it, or right when you say you healing. It's too many people out here that's healing that's not healing. It's too many people that's growing that's not truly doing the work to grow. It's too many people that say, I'm a better person than I was last year, but you still creating the same mess. It's a TikTok that says, "What you over here being messy for?" And it's been some of the people who say, "I ain't being messy," but you still being messy. So what you over here being messy for? So it's some things that we have to go through, that we have to work on to continue to get our coping mechanisms and to continue growing in our mental health, because mental health is never truly over. You will always deal with the effects of mental health either way it goes.
Yeah, because like I said, mental health is definitely real, and especially with within our young people. And our young people are going through. When I say they're going through, they're going through.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Egypt.
To add on to what Jarrell said, I want to say I don't want, because I know in the male community, they want to act like strong, especially when they're going through something. But like the male community to know that it's okay to break down. It's okay that, like, if you're going through something, then like just let it out, even if it has to be to someone you trust or like by yourself, because not only women should be able to cry, men should be able to break down and like let their feelings go if they want to, instead of being judged. Oh, you're a little boy because you're crying or something like that. It's not like that. You should be able to cry around your own family, around your own friends, around the people that you trust. So mental health in the men community especially, it needs to be brought forward, because some men are taught to hold all their feelings in. And I feel as if that's not fair, because nobody should have to hold their feelings in, no matter what gender, sex, religion. Like, you should be able to let your feelings go, whether you're happy, sad, mad, angry, depressed, anything. So yeah.
Egypt, I was about to cry. So I know people been looking at me and my facial expressions. I want to clear this up. No, I'm not smiling or giggling, nothing. I'm really holding it in because it's been a stigma in our community, especially that black men can't cry. And a real man, because I was raised by real women. So when you raised by real people, you know what a real man and what a real woman looks like. And so when a real woman raises you, and when you have to see them go out and do everything they can to provide for you, you know that sometimes you're going to have to break down. Sometimes you might have to shed a tear, but it's too many of us that want to be Mr. Superman and not enough of us that want to show that sensitive side. I don't care if you're going to call me sassy, if you're going to call me gay, whatever it may be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be me 7 days out of the week, 24/7, because it's something about releasing your crying and your tears. When you release your tears, they release endorphins that actually relieve you of some of the stress and some of the pain that you're going through. And now that's just not me talking, y'all. I did my research before I came back on, okay? So when you cry, you literally release some of these endorphins and the stress that comes onto you, and you allow yourself to really come to yourself. I love crying. And this is why. Not only after I cry, I take a good nap, but after I get done crying, I'm able to self-reflect and do an introspective look upon myself. What we have to do when we're growing with our coping, and I'm going to use this, we're going to be growing with our coping. So that's how we're going to do this mental health, right? So if I'm growing with my coping, I got to know it's okay to break down. I got to know, my friends got to know, look, you might see me cry right now, but I don't need you to laugh and judge and giggle. What I need right now is a pat on the back and say, it's going to be okay. I'm going to cry right now in this moment, but I'm going to need somebody to help me stand up. We have to realize that it's not going to be just you rebuilding your foundation. It's going to be the mechanisms. We talked about this the last episode. Your exterior, you might have beautiful windows on your house, but if your foundation is cracking, I feel this. If your foundation is cracking, that means you're about to break. That means your house is about to fall apart. But if we can rebuild our foundation together, if we can go out and get somebody on the constructive crew or an architect to look at the foundation of your house, and then can he go get the contractor to find me somebody that can come and bring the cement or whatever to come build this house back, then we're able to use other people's resources to help rebuild us. So we have to learn that it's okay to ask for the help, to ask and go get the therapist, because you know what? The therapist is going to get you the drugs you might need. The therapist might get you the advice you're going to need. The therapist might provide you the love that you might never felt from your mother or your father before. That's okay. We have to use all of the resources. I believe that it truly does take a village to end your mental. It's not going to end it, but to continue to grow in your mental health. It takes a village to grow in your mental health. Mental health issues can be the death of you if you don't have a village.
Right. So that's what I'm saying, man. We have to really start looking at the reality that we know that we live in. Because every time we go through this, this life, we walk around people, and just because people see you smiling doesn't mean that that everything is going well. Because a lot of times people see me smiling, but the thing is that, man, that I know that I still hurt. I know it's like, man, I know I laugh at a lot of stuff because because people, I don't know where they get this ideology that ignorance is bliss, and it's not. And people say some of the most ignorant things, especially when you're in your season.
Yes.
And you try
Yes.
and you try not to be ignorant with them. But sometimes it gets hard.
Right.
Because they say some of the most stupidest things, and you just sit there looking at them like, okay. And you try to be understanding. I mean, and he be like, why is this person even talking to me?
Hey, hello.
Like, did you just really say that? Like, and you just like, and you said, man, and you doing everything in your power to bite your tongue and just
Ooh,
and
you
smile
talking
and
about me this week, Doc.
and
You
just
must have known
and you
what my
just
week was.
and you just like, man, like, okay, God, yeah, God bless you, and you walk off, but at the end of the day, you're angry,
Right.
you're angry, and he's like, and just like, man, and what you really want to say, you don't say,
Right.
because
Well, I say it sometimes. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna have a moment of transparency. I try not to, but I Holy Ghost talk to somebody in tongues that's not of the Holy Ghost from A to Z. So I try
At least
to.
you honest. At least you're honest.
So one of the things that I thought about really when we were talking about this thing, and I just want to ask Egypt, how did you continue to move on from, because you went through this season and you talked about your story, and it was a really, really personal story that you probably just saved somebody else with that nobody can talk about. How did you continue to grow and develop your plan of coping? How did you do that?
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I did not have a plan at all. It takes a while for you to develop a plan, especially when you're going through what you're going through. But when you have people around you that motivate you, like for me, I have my parents and I have my brother, and those were my motivations. My other motivation was that when I was younger, I set a plan for what I wanted to do when I was older. And I said that I wanted to go to college, I wanted to have my own family, and I wanted to be a lawyer. And I realized that if I want this to happen, I can't just off myself. I noticed that by me just shutting myself off from the world and just cutting everybody off, like, mind you, depression and anxiety and PTSD, they all come with trust issues, problems setting boundaries with people, especially after being raped and being told, like, when you tell somebody no and they can't take no for an answer, then you don't know what to do now. Because I had gotten to this point where if somebody asks me for something, I'll just either leave them alone, leave them on red, or just say, "Oh, I'll tell you about it later," something like that. Because I was so afraid of saying no, because I did not want to get hurt, especially nowadays. If you say no, you either end up raped or killed.
Jesus.
And it's sad that you have to think about that these days. So I had to realize that if I want to go where I want to get to, I have to keep going.
Yes.
So all these coping mechanisms that people are telling you, yeah, all of them may not work, but find the ones that work for you. Like for me, I have to, since I have PTSD, I have to like literally tell myself that I'm not in that moment anymore. I have to tell myself that I'm safe. I'm with people that actually love me and that would not hurt me. So by doing that, that's actually a grounding technique that helps me. I actually also sleep, which helps.
Right, that does.
So because mind you, you might be going through something before you go to sleep. As you sleep, you don't think about it. When you wake up, you forget what you was thinking about.
Right.
So sleeping also can be a good coping mechanism. Actually talking to people can be a good coping mechanism. Like, yeah, with me having trust issues, I have to actually go to, well, when my mom was alive, I would go to her. And if dad wasn't at work or asleep, I would go to him.
Right.
So going to people that you know won't judge you based off of what you're going through actually helps also. Mind you, all of these techniques might not help for everybody, but they help for me. So like find, like, all I can say is test out all the coping mechanisms that are out there, and like find the ones that actually work for you, because mental health, like I said, is not a joke. Especially if you went through something traumatic, you have to find something that helps you to feel like you're safe, because nobody knew, but when my mom was getting ready to transition, I was the last person in there to tell her that it was okay for her to go. She did not, she was stubborn because she didn't go until like 30 minutes later, but it helped knowing that I was the last person that had to talk to her in order for her to go, because everybody knew I was my mom's best friend. I was her caretaker when my dad wasn't at home. So by her hearing me saying that it was okay for her to go, that made her feel more comforted.
Yeah.
And then also I had to realize, because mind you, that Tuesday that she went into the hospital, she had called me. And I was the last person that she had wanted to talk to. So that kind of also motivated me, because knowing that my mom wanted to talk to me before she took her last breath made me feel like I was actually something. So finding those motivators and coping mechanisms that work for you really help.
Yeah, piggyback on what my
Girl,
daughter
don't
was
make me
saying.
cry now.
No, wait, hold on, Junior. So piggybacking off with what my daughter was saying. That Tuesday, my wife went into cardiac arrest, and my wife video called Egypt while she was in school, and I had to cut the phone off because I didn't want her to see her mother that way.
Yeah, because my mom knew that if she called me even while I was in school, I was still gonna pack up.
That's right.
Right,
You ain't the
so-
only one. I'm right with you, girl.
Yeah. So, but Junior, wouldn't know what you want to say, man.
It's like seeing her, seeing her in that bed. Like I looked at her and I felt like this was just like a bad dream really. So I wrote a song at school, and it went in the album. And one of my rap albums said it said like it was like a dream, like seeing like a doll laying in the bed really. But it's like I thought mom was really at home, just right there, but it motivated me to do more things better, to be there for my sister and dad, and just do better in school, play sports right now, and then get ready for college and do it from there.
And these are coping mechanisms that people are talking about. Like they said, you have to find what works for you. You definitely have to find what works for you. I don't care who you are. I don't care what walk of life you come from. I don't care what faith you are. I don't care how long you've been saved. I don't care how long you've been born again. I don't care how many crosses you wear, how many Bibles you tote.
Come on.
And I don't care. Cause my thing, I understand that no, we all born again, baptized, saved believers. No, and my thing is, man, but I understand, saved folks like to use biblical cliches when you're going through.
Come on.
Um, and like I told, man, I get no, I receive all the biblical cliches. I mean, I'm not upset by it, but my thing is, I'm a real man.
Come on.
You know, I'm no, because just because no, I'm no, I got have the title Reverend. No, I'm Garrick. You know what I'm saying? And
They
I'm
let the
like,
title confuse
man, and I'm
some.
like, man, and you like, man, well, you know what the Bible says. Yeah, I know what the Bible says, but I know I'm hurting. No, I know how I'm feeling on the inside.
Come on.
And my thing is no, and it's like just because I don't share with you what I'm feeling.
Right.
And my thing is that no, because I still have to move forward.
You still got
From
to
this
push.
forward motion, and it's
Right.
like, man, and because even after I buried my wife, I still had to do a funeral the next day.
See.
And
My
I'm
God.
like, and my thing is trying to encourage folks, through their time of bereavement. That's a that's a deeper pain, because you got to sit there and watch folks falling out at the casket. And I was one of them. Because I had to close my wife's casket.
My God.
I was stood right there, and me and my sons, we crowned my wife, and we closed it. When we closed that casket, I lost it
That's all right.
because 21 years,
Jeez.
21 years, I was with her.
It's all right, Doc.
July 3rd
It's all right.
would have made 20 years.
My God.
I took care of her for 10, and watching her take her last breath, man, I lost it.
That's all right.
I lost it completely. I felt like I lost my world. I felt like I lost myself,
Right.
and I watched my kids. I watched them,
That's all right.
and I watched them go through. And everybody kept saying, "Well, you gotta be the strength for your kids." And my thing is, I know I get I gotta be the strength for my kids,
Right.
but my thing is that no, but my kids don't know that I was drawing strength from them, because it was their strength that helped me to keep moving.
Right. Right.
Because I know, because I knew Egypt was going through it because she was her mother's best friend.
Mhm.
She helped take care of her mother. Junior was right there. He was helping, and we were all there together. And the thing is that watching how they went through it,
Mhm.
man, this is a storm that nobody knows the pain of.
Right.
Nobody. And I don't care. You can't. I hear people, they compare the loss of their loved ones, and they constantly, "Oh, well, I lost my parent this, I lost my spouse this." Again, every death is different. Every
That's right.
relationship is
It's
different. We cannot compare deaths and relationships.
Can't do it.
You cannot compare the pain that you felt to the pain that I feel. You can't compare the tears that I cried to the tears that you cried. But people have a tendency to do that, and then say, "I know how you felt." Nigga, how?
Let it out. That's
No,
a good
and
point.
I'm for real. Like,
Right. How?
nigga, really? How? No, how do you know how I feel?
Exactly.
Were you there?
Hmm.
Did you feel exactly how I felt when
Did
it
you
happened?
watch it? Right.
Were you there when she took her last breath? Did you see the many tears that was cried in the building?
Right.
And then I didn't even know my wife was loved as much as she was, because the building was overpacked.
My God.
My wife touched so many people in a way that I didn't even know she touched. And people knew her and they claimed they knew me. But the thing was, but like I said, but again, man, like I said, those coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And you're talking about growing, man. The only reason that I'm not gonna lie to nobody, man. The only reason why I grew through this was because of my kids.
Come on.
Was because of my kids. I grew because of them.
Yeah.
Because they teach you how to go through a season. And I never really looked at it in a different light, because kids teach you how to go through stuff that
nobody.
that nobody would ever have to go through.
Right.
You know, and it's like, and they gain peace and strength from somewhere that and as us adults, we can't figure that thing out.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, man, how are they keep and it's like, it's be able to smile. You know, my daughter, she still carries the bear that my wife used to have. You know, and that's how she remembers her mother. My son, he still hasn't grieved yet, because I say because he's trying to consistently try to be strong for all of us. You know, and it's like, and that's weird to me, because he laughs and jokes and everybody else is breaking around him, and he like, what y'all crying for? You know, and he's like, mom, no, mom would want y'all crying. What y'all crying for?
Well, that's good to me, because it's what I love about that statement that you just made is he has strengthened the memory. And so, maybe I know you said and I don't know if you grieved yet, Junior, because you here too, but the fact that he found strength in the memory, and that's so hard for us to do sometimes. And when you talked about us Christian folk who use the biblical cliches, I'm one of them sometimes. but we do have to realize, like you said, you're a real man. Nobody said that this once you get baptized and you're reborn again and you saved and sanctified, that this journey would be easier. Actually, it's harder. So nobody said that this road is easy for anybody, but for us to just sympathize and empathize. We can't equate what we going through with what you going through. I can't equate my testimony to your testimony. I can't equate my grieving to your grieving. But what I can do is try to be there for you. And so when you said your children is where you drew your strength from, that was powerful too, because not a lot of adults can admit that it is the youth that is keeping us strong. Not a lot of people can admit that, you know what, I had to go down to this guy over here on 12. He's 16, but he done gave me some wisdom. I done had to go to see Egypt. She's still in high school, but she giving me some wisdom. Sometimes it takes the humble to really come and sit down and say, let me have a discussion with you, because we draw from you, but you might still draw from this well. So it's that moment where you can just say, look, I need you just as much as you need me right now. And that's how you grow in it, man. Y'all been growing. This is a growing episode for me, y'all. This is so much growth that's happening, because all it does is take just sit in a room and have the conversation. And that will open so many doors. Somebody commented on the last post where she said, you have really articulated and said some things that I've been hiding from people, because we talked about it. And just talking about it, Egypt just helped somebody reach their breakthrough. When you were talking about it, you just helped some man who's struggling with his mental health, who don't know how to grieve yet. You just helped him become a real man, because he breaking down in tears, because he's finally get to see the reverend. You know, they get real confused with the titles. They hold us so much higher, but they finally see the highest of them, the big eyes, become a little you.
Right.
And that's all that that's all that it takes to truly grow and to truly cope with mental health. You got to remove yourself. You got to really look into that thing and figure you out.
Yeah. So I know we have to wrap this thing up. We're gonna do a part 3 on next week, y'all. We got to do a part 3 on next week. Drill, I ain't gonna bother you, man. I ain't gonna bother you. Because I know you're a busy man anyway.
It's all right, Doc. I'm always for you. Always for you.
All right, so since you said that,
I knew he was waiting for it.
See, you opened up the door. I walk right through it.
Right.
All right, so next week, but no, seriously, man. Part 3 on next week, man. But all these coping mechanisms, and my kids will be back with us on next week, because we got to have a serious conversation about how we deal with it as a family. Yeah. The family coping mechanism. Because that's the biggest dynamic that needs to be discussed in mental health, the family dynamic, and how does the family get through it together? Because we discuss what we do as individuals, but what do we do as a family to cope? And that's what's going to be discussed on next week. So now next week, everybody, y'all tune in, because man, we gonna now y'all get get your box of Kleenex, get whatever you gotta get, but because we coming. Man, we coming. We coming, and now we gonna be pulling on some heartstrings on next week, just like we did this week. So again, y'all get with us on next week, and we want y'all to understand is that, man, that we love you with the love of God, and we know, like I said, what we talk about is no real conversations that nobody wants to talk about. And when you hear from the youth, that comes from the young people, you got to start listening. You need to listen to what the young people are saying, because what the young people are saying is powerful. And they have more wisdom than you think they have. You know, you may have some people that's ignorant on the outside, but you have some very smart young people that know exactly what they want to do in life and how they want to address what they're going through. So on next week, we want you to tune in again with us for part 3. Jarrell David will be back with us on next week. My kids will be back with us on next week. Man, we're going to have a serious conversation. So, man, y'all take care of each other. Keep praying for each other. Keep each other lifted. And we holla at y'all next week. Peace.